Here we go. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. As always, we are live on the channel like we do every Monday afternoon, and we have a bunch to get to. There are trade rumors surrounding Sterling Shepard as Bleacher Report put out an article highlighting one player from every single team that team should put on the trade block, and for the Giants, it was Sterling Shepard. We're going to break down that idea. Then we're also going to look at some players that are on the roster bubble for the Giants. Then we're going to close out the show with a prior to Week 3 preseason game 53-man roster projection. And I'll tell you this much. I was cooking up my 53-man roster projection with producer Patrick Seatman, and it got dicey. It was hard. I didn't know who I wanted to keep. We got to like 48, and I was like, man, this is going to be tough, and I'm sure it will be tough for Jashaun as he tries to whittle down this roster from 90 players to 53. But before we get into all of that on today's video, light up the comment section for me. If you're a real one, drop those real ones down in the comment section. Shout out to Corinne in the chat. The chat was popping earlier on today's show. You guys were accusing me of changing the time that we went live, and that's just fake news. That did not happen. No fake news in the chat today. Not having it. Not having it. Shout out to everybody already here. My man Jay Sports Card, Joey DeLuca, Marty, Gus, John Lieberman, Nope, Derek Hawkins, what up? Ryan Blazer says, yo, Marshy, are you going to FanFest? I am not. I need to be in Dallas, Texas, so we can go live on the channel Saturday night. Giants, Jets. We're going to get to see Aaron Rodgers get his first reps with the Jets. Giants, I doubt, will play their starters. We talked about actually that on the video this morning. So you're getting a live video and a video this morning. That's why you subscribe to New York Giants Now. Nobody puts out more content than we do, and I pride myself on that. So shout out to y'all. Let's freaking go. Seeps, producer Seeps in the building, still wearing that ratchet-ass bull shirt.
I know, I just realized, I think this is my Monday shirt.
That's your Monday shirt,
It's my Monday shirt. And I always get to share it with the beautiful Giants fans.
May have to get him a giant shirt or something like that. I'll ask you this question, Pat, as you have watched every preseason game with me so far.
Yep.
Should Jashaun Corbin make the Giants' 53-man roster?
You know, as you kind of mentioned earlier, we were tight getting down to that final 53. I'm going yes. I think he should make it. Will he make it? That is probably one of the tougher decisions that Jashaun's going to have to make. But I thought the point you made earlier about Eric Gray and Jashaun Corbin, let's just say they're both undrafted. Corbin probably gets the nod.
Yeah, Corbin has been the best running back for the Giants through the first two preseason games. If both these guys were fifth-round selections or both these guys were UDFAs, there's no way that this football team can sell me, Seeps, or this fan base that the Giants should keep Eric Gray over Jashaun Corbin. Gray's had some moments, no doubt, Seeps, in the preseason so far.
Yeah.
Had that nice touchdown run on that wham block inside the 10-yard line. I like the strength that he finished that run with. You've seen his ability to make those cuts inside of traffic and run through arm tackles. But the scouting report has somewhat been true for Eric Gray. He lacks that top-end speed. And also, one thing that's upset me the most with Eric Gray is he's really struggled in pass protection. And I've seen some people on Giants Twitter be like, he had one really good pass protection block. If you are only batting 10% as a pass blocker as a running back, that's awful. You got to bat 100%. You can have 9 good reps. Or if you have 9 good reps and 1 bad rep, and that 1 bad rep equals a strip sack fumble for Daniel Jones, that's a problem.
Yep.
So I don't want to be too hard on Eric Gray. I know he's still a rookie. 88 problems.
Hey, I want to change this. Everybody type F-Dow in the chat.
F-Dow in the chat.
Get this dude out of here.
Get 88 problems out of the chat.
This guy's a clown.
We're going to put him in timeout. He's spamming. Everybody type F-Dallas, F-Dow in the chat right now. Get 88 problems out of the chat.
That just pissed me off.
It's unfortunate that Cowboys fans are allowing Giants fans to have so much real estate inside their heads. Get the F-Dallases going in the chat. It's upsetting that we're going to let that person come in our chat and do that. Disrespect our house. Unacceptable. Shout out to Servando, Brian, William, Marty, Sean, Brazy, A. Johnson, John J. Sports Card, Daniel, Derek, G-Men for Life, Corinne A. Johnson, Ray Roman, Bart Moore, Marty C. Grooms, Blurry says Diggs to the Giants. No, Stephon Diggs is not getting traded. I wish, but not going to happen. Samuel, Devon Griffin, Big Daddy says double F Dallas. Little double birds. I like that. That wasn't the bird, but you know the deal. Nope, Eagle Killer Edition says, nah, this is Giants Nation. No Cowboys allowed. I'm with you. Real Gamer says, yo, and Samuel says F Dallas. I think Corbin deserves to make the roster, but I would not be shocked if the Giants only keep 3 backs. Maybe we kept him on our 53-man roster projection. We did get our first super chat of the day. My man John Lieberman coming in with a $2 super chat. John, salute to you. Thank you for supporting the channel and being a real one. We at Chat Sports, myself, Patrick Seaman, everybody here, we appreciate you. Super chats, they go a long way. They don't just go in my pocket or Seeps' pocket. They go back into Giants Now, back into Chat Sports, so we can hire more people, so we can expand studio space, and we could do more videos on Giants Now. So if that's what you want, be a real one and donate if you can. Like this question, Seeps. Should the Giants trade Sterling Shepard? Type T for trade, type K for keep. We will expand our thoughts on this probably in about 5 minutes or so. Bleacher Report listed Shepard as the one player the Giants should put on the trade block. You know, what do you think about that?
I feel like, for me, I would say T for trade, no matter what. But I feel like also like kind of his, maybe it's his, I don't know what word I'm looking for, like stature in New York. Or he is obviously a fan favorite with you guys, like big time fan favorite. Like, I would probably keep him for the locker room aspect of everything. But like just like on the field and all that, like I'd rather see them kind of put most of their reps and most of their kind of assets into the guys they have besides him. I'd probably say T for trade, but I think he's one of those dudes where it's getting tough to be ripped that Band-Aid off.
Yeah, and I can understand why somebody would say they would want to trade Sterling Shepard, but for someone to trade a player, they need to have somebody to accept a trade. And my question would be, who is giving up any sort of future draft pick or asset to trade for Sterling Shepard, who has had season-ending injuries early in the season the last few years? What I would say is I would keep him, one, because I don't think you can get anything for him, and two, the relationship with Daniel Jones. And the fact is, if he is healthy, big if, no doubt about it, I get that, he's easily the Giants' best receiver from a route running perspective, hands perspective, separation perspective, and just being a vet. I would like to see, though, more Paris Campbell and more Jalen Hyatt and all that. But let's say that Shepard is on the roster. I think it's a good 6-7 weeks. I think it's worth it.
What's a financial situation?
He's on the vet min, so there's nothing contractually that's going to hold him to this roster or prohibit him from being traded. So I get it. Injuries happen, and right now he's got the injury bug for the last couple of years. But I don't know. We'll break it down a little bit more in depth in a second. As we did get another $2 super chat from Bradbury Marshmallow Green Day. Crim's dad, we appreciate you, my man. Says, F Dallas. I'm with you. F Dallas. I can't believe that guy thought he could come into our crib and start that nonsense.
Who was that guy?
He was a fraud. That's who he was. Probably a Dallas Cowboys report sub. And we know what those people are. Crimmy, we appreciate you. And you spelled the middle name right, so shout out to you, my man. A lot of people will spell it wrong, but that's the way to do it, Crimmy. You got a big old brain up there. Coming up, we're going to talk about trading Sterling Shepard. We're going to talk about some roster bubble candidates, guys that may not be on the roster, guys that will, that maybe need to impress in their final preseason game this Saturday against the New York Jets. I do not expect the starters to play all that much. You could check out my thoughts on that. We put that on the channel, on the video, a video on the channel a couple of hours ago. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon. We got 155 people watching, only 41 likes. Those are rookie numbers. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get it going. Let's get to 100 likes on today's video. Brazy say, why hasn't Gary Brightwell played? Because he's hurt. Big Daddy says, Figgity F Dallas. Love that. Mark Rome says, oh, word. Nice. Corinne and John Lieberman saying hello. Bill says John Mara is said to value Shepard's energy and presence. To paraphrase one source, Mara and the Giants feel like the building wouldn't be the same without him.
That's a good point.
Like that quote. Yeah, we'll talk about Shepard. Is that where we're starting?
Players on the roster bubble.
Players on the roster bubble. Let's get into it. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's freaking go. The NFL preseason is almost over, which means all 32 teams across the NFL are going to have to cut down their roster from 90 players to 52, which means right now, entering week 3 of the preseason, there are a bunch of guys on the roster bubble, and there are for the New York Football Giants. So on today's video, I'm going to give you 5 players that are on the roster bubble heading into week 3 of the preseason against the New York Jets. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. We will be live on the channel this Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, as Brian Dable and the Giants take on Hard Knocks New York Jets. It's going to be an interesting game because Aaron Rodgers is expected to play. So the Giants, if they do play their starters at all, which I do not expect, they will get a good look at Aaron Rodgers and this offense. Let's start, though, with some roster bubble candidates. And number 1 for me is Jashaun Corbin, the UDFA out of the 2022 NFL Draft out of Florida State. I think it's fair to say that Jashaun Corbin has been the best running back for this offense and for this football team throughout the preseason, and I'm not really sure it's all really been that close. Saquon Barkley has not played, but he has looked better than James Robinson, who I think 100% is going to be cut by the New York Giants. You look at what Corbin has done in 2 games. Sure, the stats aren't all that eye-popping, and they're not all that sexy. 10 carries for 445 yards, also has 4 receptions for 19 yards. But you've seen with Corbin is the ability to make something out of nothing. There were multiple times this past week where Corbin was met in the backfield by the defenders of the Carolina Panthers, and he was able to shimmy and shake his way out of tackles and turn a negative 4-yard play into a positive 3. And those are the type of plays that running backs have to make if they want to last in the National Football League. But the thing that has impressed me the most about Corbin is his willingness and his ability to step in and be a solid pass protector on passing downs. I also have liked the juice that he has when the ball is in his hands. I think he may be the second fastest running back that has played in the preseason so far. Matt Breida, number 1, Corbin, number 2. But you see, when he puts his foot in the ground and decides to get north and south, he can do that. I think it's going to be tough for him to make this roster, as the Giants are 100% going to keep Saquon Barkley, 100% going to keep Matt Breida, and 100% going to keep Eric Gray. Could they roll into the regular season with 4 running backs? I think it's definitely a possibility, and he should make the roster over Gary Brightwell as well as James Robinson. So I'll ask you, should Jashaun Corbin make the Giants' 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let's go from the offensive backfield to the defensive front and the pass rush for Wink Martindale's defense. A guy that I think is on the bubble and the roster bubble is Oshane Ximines. Ximines, which usually is not a good sign for a player, was playing in the 4th quarter of preseason game number 2. Now, this does not mean that he was 100% going to be cut from this football team, but it doesn't mean that he is not going to make that he is going to make this team. I think he's on the roster bubble. The lack of production in the prior 3-4 years of his NFL career was a reason that the Giants did not re-sign him initially. He went into NFL free agency, and the Giants brought him back following the NFL draft. They do like him, obviously. That's why he's on this football team. But I don't think that he has enough skill and enough pop and enough juice to be your first pass rusher on the bench after Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari. To be quite frank with you, I don't think any player on this Giants defensive line has that type of pop. But there's other guys that are younger, like Tamon Fox and Baldonado, the UDFA, that have looked better in the preseason, are younger, and can be cost-controlled for longer than Oshane Ximines, who is on a 1-year deal. Not sure if he's going to make this team. I've got him on the bubble. Another player on the bubble, what about the UDFA, 6'4", 4'3", 45-inch vertical, Bryce Ford-Wheaton. He did not look good against the Detroit Lions in the first preseason game, but I was really impressed how he was able to not let that affect the rest of his preseason outings. He honestly looked good to me against the Panthers. Had 2 catches, showed off that big frame, showed off that speed, and the ability to be a hands catcher, which is really, I would say, hindered him from being the guy that a lot of people thought he could be, and is why he was a UDFA. Drops have been a problem dating all the way back to West Virginia, and we saw that on display in week 1 against the Detroit Lions. Had a drop, offensive pass interference, and just didn't really look all that good. But where he impressed me the most was in special teams as a gunner. That's going to be his calling card to make this football team, because the Giants are so deep at wide receiver. They have 6, 7, or 8 guys where if you were just talking about fits as a receiver, would make this roster in front of BFW. But it's the special teams department that could really help him get over the top. Bryce Ford-Wheaton sat down with Art Stapleton, and he said this to Art, quote, "When I got here, they were playing me everywhere on special teams, even spots where I had never played before. I was willing to learn and take the coaching, and I feel like that's paid dividends because I've definitely grown on special teams. I didn't play gunner in college, but Coach T-Mac, special teams coordinator, has trusted me to go out there and show my abilities. If you could create a punt gunner or a kick gunner in a lab, it would be a 6'4", 220-pound player that runs a 4.4 40 like Bryce Ford-Wheaton does. The upside is there as a receiver, no doubt about it. And I think the Giants understand that if they do elect to cut Bryce Ford-Wheaton and bring him back on the practice squad, someone is going to yank him or steal him from their practice squad. So maybe they're trying to find a way, squeeze him onto this roster, and use him as a special team specialist, considering Hodgins, Shepard, Robinson, Slayton, Campbell, Hyatt, and Beasley don't really give you much juice in the special teams department. So I want to ask this question before we get to the final 2 players that I think are on the roster bubble. Should Bryce Ford-Wheaton make the Giants roster? Type M for make, type C for cut. Let me know what you think down below. Let's focus in on the tight end room, as Lawrence Cager is a guy that I also think is on the roster bubble. I do want to preface this by saying I do think Cager makes this football team. But he is in a position battle right now with Tommy Sweeney, Chris Myrick, and a couple of other tight ends on this football team. And we saw the Giants versus the Carolina Panthers ran a lot of 3 tight end sets. And if the Giants want to do that in the regular season, my thought process would be this. Darren Waller, we know he is an exceptional receiver. We know he is a dynamic athlete. He's not a great inline blocker. Also, Lawrence Cager is not a great inline blocker. So if you have Darren Waller, Daniel Bellinger, and Lawrence Cager all on the football field at the same time, and you're running those 3 tight end sets, you're not really getting much of a boost in that run blocking department. The only real reason I see for Cager to make this football team is as a Darren Waller replacement, but he can't really do the things that Waller does. So it's going to be Cager, Chris Myrick, or Tommy Sweeney, unless the Giants end up keeping 4 tight ends, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibilities. I like Cager, but if we're going to run 3 tight end sets, I want that 3rd tight end to be a run blocker and a pass blocker, and that's not really Cager's forte. What do you think? Should Cager, Myrick, or Tommy Sweeney make this football team? The comment section is begging for you to answer. Type LC for Cager, CM for Myrick, or TS for good old Tommy Sweeney. We'll get to one more player coming up in a second, but right now, we've got awesome Giants gear on sale, and it's Nike gear. You know I'm a Nike guy. Just do it. Get yourself some on-sale Giants Nike gear right now. You can rep Darren Waller with a jersey. I'm a big jersey guy. I think they're just cooler than jerseys these days. But go to chatsports.com/NYG sale. Whole bunch of stuff on sale, including a couple of Giants Nike t-shirts. The last player I want to talk about as a roster bubble candidate is Bobby McCain, veteran safety for the New York Football Giants. When you look at the defensive depth chart for the Giants, they are good up front at the front 4. A little bit light at the slot corner position. They are solid with Bobby Okereke at middle inside linebacker. Could use some more veteran experience, I would say, and NFL production in that room. But the Giants are loaded at the safety position. Maybe not with household names, Maybe if you were talking to someone that hasn't been paying attention to Giants football, they'd be like, what are you talking about? But if you've been paying attention, you know there's a lot of young Giants players on this team that the front office are fans of. They love Jason Pinnock. They love Dane Belton. They love Jervarius Owens. That's 4 guys right there. They also love Nick McLeod, who's a Swiss Army knife who could play in the slot as well as on the back end of the defense and be a safety. So how many are they going to keep? I think it comes down to a position battle of the veteran Bobby McCain versus the 7th-round pick at the University of Houston, the do-it-all safety that's just been zipping and zapping and running all over the football field, Jervarius Owens. And I'm always going to side on the side of youth. I would rather keep the younger player than the older player. Bobby McCain is probably a better football player right now than Jervarius Owens, but Owens is younger, cost-controlled longer, and has not reached his prime, whereas Bobby McCain is on the back hill of his career. I'd like to keep both, but it's a numbers game. You can only keep so many different people. So pick one to keep. Is it the vet? Is it the rook? Let me know what you think. Other players that are on the roster bubble, I think Jamison Crowder is on the roster bubble, and I right now think he's on the wrong side of that bubble. Cole Beasley is also on the roster bubble. I thought he was a lock to make this roster. But how many practices and how many preseason games is he going to be able to afford to miss and still be on this team? If I had to bet, I would say Beasley makes the final roster, but he is on the bubble. I think O'Shane Ximenez and Tom and Fox are on the bubble, as well as Carter Coughlin and Cam Brown, and the UDFA Baldonado. DJ Davidson, I think, is on the roster bubble, as well as Shane Lemieux. I honestly think Shane Lemieux is done. No way he makes this roster. And then Gary Brightwell also finds himself on the roster bubble as he has been unable to stay healthy and find his way onto the football field so far this preseason. I know this. If the Giants make any moves, if they cut anybody, if they sign anybody, or they trade anybody, the first place you are going to be able to find out about the news is over on my Twitter, @MarshallGreen_. So give me a follow. Maybe I'll give you a follow back.
Player for me, mine's Corbin. That's a guy on the bubble I want to make the team.
Yeah.
Just because seeing him step up in just a blitz pickup and just rock those 2 dudes in the Lions game, it just fired me up.
Nothing fires me up more than a young running back stepping up and just freaking getting after it in pass protection, man.
Because that's not a stat play.
No.
It's a film play.
And honestly, when you're talking about top running backs, that never gets mentioned. And I don't think it's a quality or a skill that should put one above the other, but it's one of those things where when your running back misses a block, everybody in the stadium and everybody watches and sees it.
Yep, 100%.
Saquon Barkley used to be the league's worst pass protector. Now he's one of the best, and I think that makes a big difference. Think about it like this. If you are a young running back trying to make this team, and let's say you call yourself a third down specialist. You know, Barkley's going to play 95% of the third down. But if your offensive coordinator doesn't trust you enough to put you out there to protect for your quarterback, you're not going to play.
Yeah.
And that's a way you could maybe make this roster.
That was something I always respected about Zeke as well. Like, it made him a true 3-down back early on in his career. He was able to step up and rock a dude.
Yeah. Zeke was great. Zeke was great in that department. Really, really helped Dallas on those third down situations. Nope says Marsh never made that Rodarius Williams cut video. Yeah, I didn't think it warranted a video, to be honest with you. What else is there to say besides it got cut? But I appreciate you that you were looking out for that vid, my man. I appreciate you. We did have a couple of super chats roll in while we were going through our roster bubble candidates. Shout out to you guys. All super chats get up on screen. Myself and Patrick Seaman will break them down. As the Big Moo, an OG on New York Giants now. What's up, Big Moo? How many players can we keep on the practice squad? Also, is it true that we can't protect 4 players on the squad each week? Harrison, what is it, 16 players on the practice squad? And you can only protect X amount, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's 4 or 6, I believe. No one in specific just said how many players can we keep on the practice squad. Also, is it true that we can protect 4 players on the practice squad each week? Yeah, you could protect X amount of players. I'm not sure the exact number on that, Big Moo. Let me do some research, and let me get an answer back to you for sure. Exactly. It's a good point. Not sure if you heard that, but I'll restate what he said. When you cut people, you can't be like, we're putting these guys on the practice squad and you guys can't sign them. No, once you initially have that cut down date from 90 to 53, anybody can sign those players you cut.
Yeah.
But if they go through waivers and they go through the process where no one signs them up, you can then collect them and add them back to your practice squad. You can also call up X amount of players, X amount of times during the regular season for practice squad. Let me do some more research on it, though, the big move, and get you a better answer. I know where to find you. Trey Miles coming in with a $5 super chat. My man. Yeah. Shout out to Trey Miles. He said, Seeps and money-making Marsh. Zimenez's lack of production is very surprising, being that we had a need at that position. Hashtag Giants, hashtag True York. Yeah, I think I've been beating the drum since April that the Giants need to add more impact players, more professional players at that edge rusher spot. And they went out and they re-signed O'Shane Zimenez following the NFL draft. He's never lived up to the hype of being that 3rd or 4th round pick out of Old Dominion. There's obviously fans of him in the building, considering they let him go through free agency and then they brought him back after the draft. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to produce as a pass rusher, you're most likely not going to make an NFL roster. Watson, my man. Watson Seeps. That's great. Hell yes, BFW is a giant. What do you got to say about that one?
Good stuff, Crimmy. You're back.
Stepped up his game, no doubt about it. Crimmy has stepped up his game, and he even has gone a little bit undercover with the green beat.
He has.
Why is it always green?
That is true.
Is it for me? Is it for me, Crimmy?
But like Crimmy, I wouldn't want to see him in a different color.
No.
Like I feel like I see that Crimmy green.
Jay Liv green as well. You start remembering. My man William Lano's in the chat. What up, William Lano? My man's an MVP on New York Giants now. He helped us back, I believe, in like March or April. Have the biggest stream to date on New York Giants now. William Lano, my man. Shout out to you. As a real one, an A1 since day one, Tuto Azuri comes in with a $5 super chat. Tuto, we appreciate you, brother. Massive salutes to Big Boss Marshy and all the diehard Giants fans in America. Drop by your office to pay our proper respects. And please slap all the boys and losers out of here. My man Tuto is a New York Giants YouTube legend. Shout out to you, my man. Always, always showing love to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Rocky. Oh, I love that dog, dude.
This is actually my dad.
Is it?
Yeah, and my dad and our dog
That's
back
y'all's
at
dog?
home. Yeah.
Dude, that dog is beautiful.
No, he is adorable. Shout out to Rocky. Shout out to Mr. Seeps also showing love.
Show Mr. Seeps some love in the chat. This is to say, thanks for the NY support on Vikings Live. How much to get Marsh to make an appearance on the next show? I'll do that for free. My man Pat helps me all the time. The least I could do is return the favor. I will say, though, I freaking love it when we see other people like that watch other shows, like Giants fans and Knicks fans, go over to Vikings. That's good stuff right there. And look at Bill, a $50 super chatter on Vikings now.
Yeah, Bill was showing love. Johnson, you showed up a couple times. Yeah,
love
so
that.
Cool. It was cool.
Love that. Dude, your dog, is that like the dog you grew up with or
no? No, this is the one we got later. Yeah, Rocky's adorable.
That might be what our house dog looks like right there.
Hell yeah. Please.
Mr. Seeps, shout out to you. Let's ride.
You.
Thank you. The Little Moo. So we got the Big Moo and we got Little Moo.
Yeah.
That's elite. As Jay Lib says, Rocky, you raised a good man. I'm guessing, is Rocky the dog's name?
Yeah, Rocky's the dog name.
That's freaking awesome. The Little Moo says, where do you rank Daniel Jones versus NFC East QBs? Me, he is number 1. I don't think it's fair to what the other NFC East quarterbacks have done to do anything but rank Daniel Jones number 30. I think you've got to put whatever, as the Big Moo types WTF in the chat. You have to put Jalen Hurts 1 or Dak 1 and then the other 2, right? They've just simply accomplished more than Daniel Jones in his career so far. But I do believe that Daniel Jones is good enough for the Giants to win the NFC East. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. But I'm smelling a Danny Dimes breakout this year,
man.
I
am too. I've been
He looked good
too.
in the preseason.
I know. And he got his weapon now. Like, he got his weapon, who we saw him go to 3 straight plays to start it off.
Yeah. Tay Crowder is in the chat. I wonder if that's the real take Crowder. We'll put him in timeout. No spamming. You can spam to yourself in prison while you're in timeout. I'll go 3 to be objective, but Dak leads the league in interceptions again this year. I might move him up to 2.
And listen, Jalen Hurts has had one good year. Like he passes the eye test. I think he's gonna be a top 7 guy for most of his career. But
there's no doubt Jalen Hurts is really good at football, but it makes it easier when you're throwing to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and you have Kelsey and all those guys up front blocking for you. He's good. I don't want to take anything away from him. I just would like to see him do it where he's the focal point. Shit,
you give Daniel Jones, Devontae Smith, or A.J. Brown. See what he can do.
I agree. John Lieberman, my man. $2 super chat. John, you've been a real one today. Thank you for both super chats. Says Giants need more pass rush. Nobody, or I should say it like this. Giants fans know how important pass rush is. That is where this team's bread and butter has been for as long as I have been a fan. You need another body. You need another pro. I still believe that when other teams go from 90 to 53, there's going to be solid players available. And I like to see if the Giants can maybe go grab someone, maybe a veteran pass rusher, a veteran slot corner. The 2 positions I'm worried about the most on this football team right now are slot corners, pass rushers. If I had to give a third, it'd be backup interior offensive line.
Marsh, like I was going to say, I remember you mentioned that in a show when we were talking about signing Yannick Ngakoue a while, and you said, like, oh, edge is one of the biggest needs on the Giants. I was like, is it really? Like, is edge – who would have thought the Giants needed an edge?
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, I feel like their D-line, like, overall their interior D-line stacked with Dexter Lawrence. You got names. But, yeah, definitely.
You're one injury away from being in a really sticky spot. You really, really are. John, thank you for the support. As we did get a first-time super chatter for Velocity Cloudy. For Velocity. My man, let's ride. That was Chris. $2 super chat. Shout out to you. If you have a question, comment, take, you want to say something, drop it in the chat right now. And you did. He said, I forgot to write a message, Mars. If you just put it in the chat, we'll talk about it on the screen right now. So drop it in the chat, and myself, Patrick Seatman, we will talk about it. William says, I'd rather sign Landon Collins as our slot instead of run. I don't want to see Landon Collins playing slot corner. That gives me flashbacks of him trying to guard Ertz and all the good tight ends that Jason Witten, even Chris Cooley, I believe, matched up with him a while ago. What a name.
Yeah.
What a name that
random
was.
NFL player.
Velocity, drop what you wanted to say in the comments section, and we'll talk about it. Bill says, and that is why Tom and Fox is going to make the team 2 QBs hits. I thought he's looked good, Bill. I said last year I thought he looked good. And, take it for what it's worth. Lawrence Taylor is a fan of Tom and Fox. Maybe that's because they went to the same college, but, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Tom and Fox. All righty, we're going to get into our next segment. Dude, have you been watching the concurrent viewers of this?
Yes. I've noticed it 3 times now.
Okay. It is going up and down, up and down. Let's do this. We have 220 people watching. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get to 100 likes on today's show because we're getting a whole bunch of new audience watching today's video. We've gone up to 250 people, all the way down to 100, then 180, then 230. It's just going up and down, up and down. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon. We would greatly appreciate it. Let's get to 100 likes. As Tuto coming back with a $5 super chat. Look at the guns on Tuto, my man. Marshy, please suit me up in Giants gear, and I'll guarantee to keep all the hospital BS all day, and no opposing QBs will walk off the field on their own power. I believe him.
Shoot, having Tuto coming off the edge might be a good call.
I agree. Tuto, if I needed to pick up an edge on my football team, you're at the top of the list, brother. You're at the top of the list. Would love to see you destroy some NFC East quarterbacks. My man, appreciate the love. Let's ride. As Stella V coming in the chat says, you look good, Marsh. I appreciate you, my man. I've been putting in some work.
You know who this is, right?
100%.
I think they stepped their game up.
They did. They're changing the profile picture.
They threw me off with the little move.
Yeah, they went from the little Moo to Stella V.
Wow.
We appreciate it. I appreciate it. Been in the gym, trying to lose some lbs, getting ready for football season. That's right. Stella, we appreciate it.
Game recognizes game.
You said in a $50 super chat, maybe I'll slide you my number. What do you say? All righty, let's get in. Matthew Valverde says, facts. I want to see Tuto off the edge. I think everybody wants to see Tuto put his hand in the dirt and get after the quarterback.
Just one time.
One time. We're 3 likes away from 100 likes. Hit that thumbs up icon. If you have hit it, you hitting that? If you have, type me in the comment section. I want to know who the real ones are. Let's go. As Cam Johnson, my man, gave me a follow on social media the other day. Cam, salute to you. Says, thoughts on signing Dalton Risner to improve the interior offensive line. I've done multiple videos so far this summer suggesting that the Giants should go out and sign Dalton Risner. I wonder why he's still a free agent at this point, but I'm never against having good offensive linemen and a plethora of good offensive linemen. He's probably not the player that he was a year or 2 years ago, but he's still solid, and I wouldn't mind having a veteran that's been successful in this league being a mentor and a coach on the offensive line, a player kind of coach that can coach up Marcus McKeithen, a second-year player, or a Joshua Azudu, a second-year player, or your rookie center, John Michael Schmitz, or your second-year left tackle. I never, ever think it's a problem adding a good, experienced vet. I think that goes a long way for your locker room as well as player development. Cam, appreciate the $5 super chat, my man. You're always showing love. It does not go unnoticed, I promise you. Velocity Cloudy was a first-time super chatter. Now there are 2-time super chatters. Salute to you. Do you think it's worth looking into Julio Jones? If it was 2017, yes.
It's just too big of a room. Or there's too many bodies in the room.
There's too many bodies, and at this point, Julio Jones is kind of washed, right? He's kind of washed. Yeah. He's going to go in the... Is he a Hall of Famer? Yeah?
Yeah.
Is Julio Jones a Hall of Famer, Harrison? Yeah, I think he is.
I think he's got to be.
He's got to be. I think he was a top 5 receiver for like 10 years in the league.
Made a Super Bowl, too.
Yeah. I would say no. I don't hate the idea, but I'm honestly good with kind of where our receiver core is at this point. And I don't really want to bring anybody else that's going to take snaps away from Jalen Hyatt. I want to see Hyatt be a big part of this offense. Definitely week 1 against the Cowboys.
I feel like the only move you would make for a receiver, unless it's like a no doubt right now wide receiver 1.
Yeah, exactly. 100% agree. 100% agree. Cam says he thought he retired. There is not, to my knowledge, there has not been an official retirement from Julio Jones, but when you're a free agent and it's August 21st, the NFL might be putting you into retirement.
As Jonathan Taylor was, the Colts are allowing him to explore trade options.
Really?
Yeah.
Trade for Jonathan Taylor? Nah, we got Saquon. Velocity Cloudy says, let's go sign Jay Jettas. I've said it before. I will say it again. I do not think Justin Jefferson retires a Viking. I think he kind of follows a similar OBJ trajectory.
OBJ? See, I think he follows Moss.
Moss?
Where like he spends most of his career there, and then maybe he joins a contender like he did in New England.
Did you see that tweet going around Twitter where they cited it was ESPN and it was a fake quote from Justin Jefferson about wanting to play for the Giants?
Yes, wanting to play for Dable, yes.
I mean, who wouldn't want to play for Brian Dable? What? I will not call it that. I will not. Let's ride. As Shane Lemieux is in the chat. Well, Shane Lemieux, we're about to do our roster cut candidates video, and I'll tell you this much. You're on it. All righty, let's get into it. Should the Giants trade Sterling Shepard? Let's go. Make sure you have all. Hit that thumbs up icon. Only 107 likes. It's embarrassing. Supposed to be getting a raise, and you guys won't even hit the like button. What's up with that? Come on. Making me look bad. All righty, let's get into it. Should the New York Giants trade Sterling Shepard? We're going to dive into that idea as Bleacher Report put that out onto Twitter. But first, let's show some love for the longest tenured Giant on this football team. Type those threes, his jersey number, down below. Yo, what up, Giants fans? You are watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. I appreciate everybody for taking time out of their busy schedules to spend a couple of minutes with us. And on today's video, we are going to react from the article that Bleacher Report put out there. They always do these where it's like one player from every team. And on today's article, or the article that came out today, it was one player for every team that each team should put on the trade block. And for the New York Giants, it was veteran wide receiver Sterling Shepard. They went on to say this for their explanation. The New York Giants currently have an abundance of slot receivers. Paris Campbell projects as their starter on the inside, while Wan'Dale Robinson enters his second NFL season as a second stringer, which could leave Sterling Shepard out to dry. The 30-year-old has struggled to stay healthy throughout his career, missing 34 games over the last 4 seasons combined. However, he has been productive when on the field, with a career average of 11.2 yards per catch, including 11.8 yards per catch on a small sample size a year ago. He's also just 2 years removed from posting 656 yards and 3 touchdowns in 12 games. Shepard is also about to enter a contract year, and the Giants have spent top 100 picks on wideouts during the last 2 drafts, Robinson in 2022 and Jalen Hyatt in 2023, adding even more reasons for them to trade the Oklahoma product. And there is no doubt that the New York Giants are deep at the wide receiver position. That shouldn't be, bells and whistles shouldn't be going off in your head like, oh, crap, you're right. The Giants are deep at wide receiver. You've been watching this show, you know that. I think that Sterling Shepard is going to make this football team. We saw him play 17 snaps in the preseason this past Friday against the Carolina Panthers, had a catch for 6 yards, and he's kind of been dominating in practice. We'll give you more info on that. But you got Hodgins, Shepard, Robinson, Slayton, Campbell, Hyatt, Crowder, Beasley, Bryce, ford-wheaton. There's a lot of people on this team. How many are they going to keep? I think it's going to be 6 or 7 players. Will Sterling Shepard be in that? I'll give you my thoughts in a second on if I think Big Blue should trade Sterling Shepard, but I want to hear from all the real ones down in the comment section right now. Should Joe Schoen and the New York Football Giants trade veteran wide receiver Sterling Shepard? Type T for trade, type K for keep. That's going to be the pinned comment on today's video. You're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break, so take advantage of it. Scroll down and let me know, should the Giants trade Shep? My take on all of this is this. Number one, I'm not trading Sterling Shepard for scraps. Look, if a team comes out and wants Shepard on their roster, and maybe it's a 5th or a 6th round pick, which would be insane to me, sure, I would pull the trigger. But am I going to trade Sterling Shepard for a 7th round pick? Probably not, because I think the upside, if he is healthy, is he could potentially be a very productive receiver for this football team. Number two, my question would be this. Who is trading for Sterling Shepard? The guy has played in 10 football games in the last 2 years. He has not been able to stay healthy. And why would another general manager in the NFL look at that and say, yeah, I'm willing to give up a draft pick for him? I don't see how that's possible. 3 games played last year for the Giants, only 13 receptions, 154 yards, but he did have that really nice touchdown against the Tennessee Titans that really turned that game around in the season opener. 2021, we saw him get off to a great start. He cooked Patrick Surtain against the Denver Broncos. And we saw in 2020, the guy put up a productive season as well as he did in 2019. I'm going to continue to say this. I've said it a couple of times on this channel. If healthy, and I know it's a big if. What if? I get it. If Sterling Shepard can stay healthy, I honestly believe he's the best wide receiver on this football team from a pure routes perspective, from a pure hands perspective, getting open, creating separation, being able to line up in the slot, being able to line up outside, and also the rapport that he has built up with Daniel Jones. And we have seen in training camp and preseason practices so far, when healthy and on the football field, Sterling Shepard is cooking Giants defensive backs. Jordan Renan on the 21st said this. Wide receiver Sterling Shepard had a big day on Monday. He caught 4 passes in practice. The second-team cornerbacks couldn't stay with him. Shepard has looked really good and explosive as of late. For a guy coming off an ACL and Achilles to look explosive, I am excited to see what he can do once Sunday Night Football gets here. On top of that, Sterling Shepard is loved in this locker room. Shoot, I love Sterling Shepard. He might be one of my favorite Giants of this era. For him to do what he did last year, after tearing that ACL, after tearing that Achilles the prior year, call it a cheerleader, call it whatever you want, he did everything under his power, even though he couldn't be on the football field in practice, to put the Giants, or do everything he can to help the Giants win football games. Mentoring young receivers, being a hype guy on the sideline, celebrating his team, being passionate. You love to see that at a veteran player because we've seen so many times that when a player gets hurt, they just leave the team. They aren't a part of it anymore. No, not Shepard. He is bought in, and he bleeds Giants blue, and that means something to me. It really does. Also, this coming from Darren Waller. Quote, Sterling Shepard has looked great at practice. And he has. And there's clips on my Twitter at @MarshallGreen_ that you can go check out. He's cooking Giants DBs. I would like to see him go up against Adoree Jackson and Deonte Banks and Trey Hawkins a little bit more. But we have seen him against the second DBs take him to school because he is still a good football player. And Daniel Jones loves Sterling Shepard. This was his quote about him recently. It's extremely impressive, the fact that he's back on the football field already. He's worked really hard to get back. And yeah, he's been a big-time player for us these past few years when he's been healthy. He's worked hard to get back and made a lot of plays in practice and then looked good tonight, talking about the game on this past Friday against the Panthers. So it's extremely impressive. Look, if your quarterback wants a receiver on the team, you keep them. And why does Daniel Jones want Sterling Shepard on this football team? Because they have great chemistry. You see, maybe not last year because he only played in 2.5 games, but whenever Jones and Shepard have played together, 3rd and short, he's looking for number 3. 2nd and 8, he's looking for number 3. Don't forget about this play that Sterling Shepard had against the Tennessee Titans when he took the top off the defense and went 75 yards to the crib and was dancing in the end zone after the Giants got 6 points on the board. What about in 2021, first game of the season? They tried to put rookie cornerback Patrick Surtain on him, and he cooked him on a 17-yard over route, got north and south, broke a tackle, and got into the end zone. There is always a spot on your football team for veterans that are liked in the locker room and are still good football players. I know he's injured. You don't have to tell me that anymore. Trust me, I know he's been unable to stay healthy. But I truly believe that Sterling Shepard still has gas in the tank and can still be a productive football player on this offense. Shoot, I'm tired. It hasn't happened this year, but I'm tired of what happened last year. I don't want to see Marcus Johnson out there anymore. Can't tell me that Sterling Shepard's not better than Richie James at this point. And he had 60 catches for the Giants last year. I have other trade candidates that we'll quickly talk about in a second. But first, you trying to make some money? If you are, listen up. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code chat125, and BetUS will hook you up with a 125% deposit bonus. I've bet on the preseason because I'm a degenerate. I'm getting rich. You can do the same right here. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code chat125, and they will match your initial deposit of 125%. Let's close out the show talking quickly about some other guys that I could potentially, maybe not strongly, think of as trade candidates, but maybe if the Giants are cutting down their 53-man roster and they're thinking maybe we can get a pick back for one of these guys instead of cutting them, who that could be. What about Bobby McCain? I thought there was going to be a role for Bobby McCain when he signed with the Giants back in the spring. But there's been other guys that have emerged, and I thought, quite frankly, have looked better. Pinnock's looked better. Belton's looked better. I'm more intrigued by Javarius Owens. So maybe there's a team out there in the need of a veteran safety that can play the strong free and nickel that could come calling and maybe give up a day 3 pick for Bobby McCain. While I don't think that this next player is going to be traded, that's Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is not going to be traded. But let's say an injury happens to a quarterback in week 3 of the preseason and maybe someone wants to get desperate and trade for a guy. What about Tyrod Taylor? I'm not against that. And honestly, with the way TD, Tommy DeVito, the victory formation DeVito, has played these first 2 preseason games, can he maybe be your QB2? I'll ask you. Pick a quarterback number 2. Who would you rather have back up Daniel Jones? Is it Tyrod Taylor? Is it Tommy DeVito? Type TT, type TD. Let me know. The last player I think the Giants could move on from, as I do think they're going to cut him. He will not be on this football team. But What about Amani Oruwariye? I was a little bit excited when the Giants signed him in the spring because he's had his seasons where he's had 8 interceptions before, but then I called my good buddy Mike, who covers the Detroit Lions for Chat Sports, and he told me he's one of the worst defensive backs in the NFL, and he's led the league in holdings and penalties multiple times. I checked it out. It's true. Amani Oruwariye is just not a good football player at this point. And even though the Giants are somewhat thin at the cornerback position, he's not going to make this roster, especially if you're going to have Deonte Banks and Deonte Banks and Trey Hawkins playing on the outside with Adoree Jackson in the slot. That eliminates the need that you have more so for an outside corner. And it sounds like my man Cordell Flott is done running in the slot, and they're going to move him to the outside. So the need for Oruwariye is not really all that high. Maybe the Giants could trade him for a 7th-round pick. Not even sure if someone would be willing to give that up. So we got McCain, Tyrod Taylor, Amani Oruwariye. To be honest with you, I don't think any of these guys are going to be traded, but those are the 3 guys I thought could be the most. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for hanging out and rocking and rolling with us here on Giants Now. I thought that's what happened. Godson says, what happened with Aaron Robinson? Aaron Robinson is on the PUP list. Physically unable to perform. He's hurt. He was hurt last year. I almost put him on the roster bubble because I think the Giants could move on from him, but their pride is going to keep him on the PUP. So, yeah. That's what it is. Aaron Robinson is on the PUP list. As we get a $5 super chat from Marsh Bates. Marsh Bates. That's a cool name. Marsh Master? Marsh Bates? That's wild. That's wild. Hey, all my fans, autographed photos can be yours for $50 super chats. If you want a picture of me with a signature, yeah, $50 super chat, we'll send it to you. We'll send it to you. What a name that is, though. Marsh Master. Can you even use? I'm not going to go there. Crimmy, you're on your game today, brother. You're on your game today. Jay Liv says, Marsh, you plan on hurting a backup quarterback somewhere? I'm not sure what you mean by that, boss. No, I do not. I do not. Oh, the Tyrod Taylor thing? No, I don't plan on hurting any backup QBs. Not at all. Not at all. Bill's laughing. Yeah, everyone's laughing in the chat. I'm not sure why. Why is everyone laughing? Matthew Valverde says we should have kept Nick Gates. I don't agree. I thought Nick Gates got way overpaid by the Washington Commanders. Is he solid? Yes. Do I want to pay him what Washington paid him? No. He's good. He's not great. Honestly, good may even be a stretch. Hey, Sperry, is Nick Gates going to start? Guard? Center? So it sounds like Nick Gates is going to start at center. I didn't hear you. Yeah, even our Washington Commanders host said he kind of stinks. Look, I love the story. 7 surgeries on that leg. Came back. There was questions if he would ever walk again. I respect the heart and the hustle of Nick Gates. But as a football player, I'm not paying him the money that Washington did, to be quite frank with you. Soren Johnson says, hi, Marsh. Hi. You don't need to spam the chat. I see you. I promise. Andrew says, NFL just broke Colts. Taylor has been granted permission. Yep. Brian Brown says, in your honest opinion, who are you higher on, Trey Hawkins or Banks? Deonte Banks. Look, I know the story of Trey Hawkins is cool. It's also fun to hype up 6th-round draft picks. But I'm hype about the guy that we took number 24 overall. I'm expecting him to come in and be an immediate impact player and be a guy that might be the quarterback 1 of this franchise for the foreseeable future.
I feel like Banks is one of those dudes, once he gets it all together, like, he's got the athletic ceiling where he could be a top true lockdown guy.
Yeah, I truly believe that Banks could be a CB1 in this league. I do. That's the reason you take him in the first round. That's the reason you trade up to go get him. I'm more excited to see him because if he's bad, that's not a good look for Joe Shane. Which he's my sweet prince. I love Joe Shane, but you got to hit on first round picks. All righty, we're going to get into
53.
a 53-man roster projection. Before we do, a little deal of the day. We're up to $65 in Super Chats. If we get to 100, we're going to do a beer shotgun race. Myself versus Patrick Seatman. I want to dust him. If we get to, we're 35 away. 35 away. Let's go. Robert says, hey, Marsh, do you wish that the Giants took OBJ? Yeah, I wish the Giants would have signed OBJ. He's a damn good football player. And I think he's going to have a good season. Soren, I got you. No need to spam the chat, though. I'll see your message. Corinne says, Crims is having a good day today. Yeah, he's being a little childish. That's all I have to say about that. Mick says, I think the G-Men wide receiver core will surprise the NFL. Jalen Hyatt's the X factor for that receiver room. He's the X factor for that receiver room. And Darren Waller. If Darren Waller plays 17 games this year, he will have more than 90 catches. Guaranteed. Book it. Velocity says, if Banks and Gonzalez fell to us, who would I rather pick? I would go Gonzo. I think he was the better prospect, but I'm happy with the guy we got. Oren says, do you think the Giants are going to go 12-5? I do not. I'm going 10-7. 10-7 is my projection. 10-7. Sean Clowney says, Marsha, we trade for Diggs. He wants out. Stephen A. Smith said he wants out. Stephon Diggs told the media he does not want out. So I think that's fake news. R.J. Poos says Jalen Hyatt's better than Hodgins. Completely different receivers. But I think you got to give Hodgins. I think you got to say Hodgins is better right now, right? I mean, the dude put up 100 yards in a playoff game. I think Hyatt has a way higher ceiling. I think Hyatt can be better this year, but I can't say it's someone that hasn't played in the NFL is better than someone that has and has 100 yards in a playoff game. Robert, I agree. I give Joe Shane a B+ for what he did this offseason. B+, very strong. All righty, let's close out the show with my 53-man roster projection. Week 1, Giants, Cowboys. It's right around the corner. Sunday Night Football. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to take down the Cowboys. Let's go Big Blue. If you are excited for Week 1, Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys, I need you right now to hit that thumbs up icon. Like this video if you are ready for Week 1. $53-man roster projection. That's what we got going on today's video as you are tuned in to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. With preseason game number 3 just around the corner, I wanted to map out a roster projection. Following Week 3, and before we get into Sunday Night Football, I'm going to give you my final 53-man roster projection, but this is where it sits right now. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Unfortunately for Tommy DeVito, I do not see him making this roster. I do believe he will be added to the practice squad, so I have the Giants keeping 2 quarterbacks. Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor. Those are the 2 guys I think the Giants keep under center. Let's go to running backs. I think the Giants will keep, maybe I don't think the Giants will keep 4 running backs, but I want the Giants to keep 4 running backs. Barkley and Breida are locks. But there is no way you can tell me that Jashaun Corbin, after what he did against the Panthers and the Lions, does not deserve to make this football team. Because Corbin has been the best Giants running back in preseason so far. And if Eric Gray was a UDFA and Jashaun Corbin was a 5th-round pick, he would make the team. And I don't want to deal with politics. Best players make the team. So I have 4 running backs making it. Barkley, Breida, Gray, and Jashaun Corbin. Let's go to the tight ends. Darren Waller is going to make it. Daniel Bellinger is going to make it. You can make the argument or make the point, and I agree with you, that 3 guys will only make the roster at the tight end position. But I saw something on Friday night that changed my opinion. It makes me believe the Giants could keep 4 tight ends. They ran a lot of 3 tight end sets. And if I'm going to have 3 tight ends on the football field, and 2 of them are Darren Waller and Daniel Bellinger, I want that third guy to be more of a blocker. And Sweeney is a much better blocker than Lawrence Cager at this point. Cager is somewhat of your Kmart version, Dollar Tree version of Darren Waller. So he could do some of those things he can, but I don't necessarily want Cager as my third tight end in the field as an inline blocker. So I have Cager and Sweeney making the team. Maybe both don't make it, and Chris Myrick is your third tight end. But I see Myrick being a practice squad guy, and I see him being called up and down the roster, especially if they only keep 3 guys. Let's go to the receiver position. This one has been the most talk of the town. I have the Giants keeping 7 wide receivers. It's a lot. No doubt about it. It's honestly a little bit too much for me. But just reading the tea leaves, people I've talked to, sounds like they're going to keep 7. That's going to be Slayton, Hodgins, Campbell, Hyatt, Shepard, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Beasley. There's been talk that Wan'Dale Robinson may start the season on the PUP list. But now it sounds like he's going to be ready to go, and he won't start the season on the PUP. But even if he's not ready to go week 1, and let's say he's ready to go week 3, he still will be on the active roster and not on the PUP. So I believe 7 guys: Slayton, Hodgins, Campbell, Hyatt, Shepard, Robinson, and Beasley. I think Crowder is out. I think, unfortunately, Bryce Ford-Wheaton is out. I think he'll go to the P squad. I think Colin Johnson is almost out. You may ask, Marshall, why is Cole Beasley making this roster? I'll give you this reason. The Giants wanted to sign him last year. He has a good relationship with Brian Dable and Joe Shane. And the day after the Giants signed him in training camp, he was having reps with the first offense. Why would you have a 30-plus-year-old Cole Beasley running with your first offense and taking reps away from young guys if he wasn't going to make the team? That makes no sense. So I'm penciling Cole Beasley in. I've got the Giants keeping 7 wide receivers. How many do you think they are going to keep? Is it 6? Is it 7? Could they go all the way up to 8? Let me know what you think. It's going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So let me know how many wide receivers the Giants are going to keep right now as you get hit with that YouTube ad break. From receivers to offensive line. This one was tough. Andrew Thomas is going to make it. Josh Azudu is going to make it. Ben Bredeson's going to make it. John Michael Schmitz is going to make it. Gawinski, McKeithen, and Evan Neal are going to make it. That's 7 guys right there. I think the Giants are going to keep 9. I think it's going to be Matt Parrott, who I thought really struggled on Friday night. Not the biggest fan of him, but you need a swing tackle. And Tyree Phillips, who's currently battling with injuries, I still expect him to make this roster. And that means I have Shane Lemieux, Wyatt Davis, and Corey Cunningham on the outside looking in. We're done with the offense. Let's switch to the defense. The big boys up front, the big fellas, the interior. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, A'Shawn Robinson, Rakeem Nunez-Roches, and Jordan Riley. Those are the 5 guys I think that they keep at the interior. And then I've got a 6th spot for Jihad Ward, who can play the interior. He can line up on the edge. He can even be a stand-up edge rusher. He could do a little bit of everything. So I have the Giants keeping 6 guys on the defensive front and only 4 guys at the outside linebacker. I believe Thibodeau and Ojulari are locks. That's not breaking news. But I believe the 3rd best edge rusher for the Giants this preseason is Tommen Fox. Had 2 pressures on Friday against the Panthers. Almost had a sack against the Lions. And then the UDFA, Baldonado has looked good. I'm not a fan of O'Shane Ximines. And I love the heart and the effort that Tayshawn Bauer plays with. This doesn't have enough juice, doesn't have enough skill, can't bend the edge to make this football team. So I have them keeping 4 guys. If anything is different, I think Baldonado could be practice squad and Ximines could be a part of this 4. But I'd rather roll with these 4. Let's go to the inside linebacker position. I would have liked to keep all 5 of these guys, but it's a numbers game, and unfortunately, you can only keep so many guys. And for that reason, I have Cam Brown on the outside looking in. The reason I chose Carter Coughlin over Cam Brown, as both are special team specialists, is because Coughlin can actually give you some juice at the off-ball linebacker spot compared to Brown, who's really just a special team specialist. That gives you Okereke, McFadden, Beavers, and Coughlin as the 4 guys you keep at the inside linebacker position. Cornerbacks we go. I have Adoree Jackson for sure. I'm very curious to see how much Adoree Jackson is going to play at that slot position this year. Sounds like he's going to do it week 1. He'll be matched up with CeeDee Lamb, and you'll have the rookie Deonte Banks and Trey Hawkins on the outside. Cordell Flott, he's a lock to make this roster. Nick McLeod is a lock to make this roster. And I used to have Darnay Holmes on the outside looking in, but with Aaron Robinson starting on the pup, I think Darnay Holmes is going to make this football team. That could change. Maybe it's a contract restructure. As cutting him, they'd save $2 million. Maybe they cut his salary down like they did for Darius Slayton last year. But these are the 6 corners I have them keeping. Robinson to the pup. Maybe they activate him and then cut Holmes. And then Amani Oruwariye, I believe, is out. So from corners to safeties, the last position we will talk about before we get to the special teams specialists. I would have liked to keep all 5 because I do believe having a veteran like Bobby McCain helps a young guy like Belton and helps a young guy like Javarius Owens. And McCain right now might actually be a better down-in, down-out football player than Javarius Owens. But Owens flies all over the field, and he pops off the screen for me when I watch him. I just think he has a little bit more pop right now than McCain. He's younger, and he has a higher ceiling as McCain is on the outside looking in and on the backside of his career. That gives you McKinney, Pinnock, Belton, and Owens. That's 4 safeties. I also included Nick McLeod in the corners. As we know, McLeod is the Swiss Army knife for Wink Martindale in this defense. He could play outside corner, slot corner, as well as safety, or in the box as a safety. So those are all the position players that we have kept. And the 3 specialists for the Giants will be Graham Gano. Honestly, I don't mean to be mean to Mr. Jamie Gillen. I hope the Giants cut Jamie Gillen and they go out and they sign a punter in free agency. I think Gillen is not good, to be quite frank. I think he's terrible. Consistently out-punting the coverage. One of the worst coffin corner kickers I've ever seen. And if I see him punt from enemy territory into the end zone one more time, my head might blow off. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of sacrificing field position because our kicker just can't kick the damn ball out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. Also, long snapper, Casey Kreider. That's my 53-man roster projection. I want you to grade it for me. Grade my 53-man roster projection. Back to school from 1 to 100. 1 being it's the worst thing you ever saw. You're going to block me and never watch this channel again. Or 100 being it's perfect. And Marsh, you should take Joe Shane's job. Let me know what you think. Grade my 53-man roster projection down in the comment section. Remember, guys, you can also follow me over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. When the Giants start to make cuts and they start to trim the fat on this roster, that's not nice to say. I just like that saying. Trim the fat. Cut the fat. But when the Giants start to cut down this roster, I will be letting you guys know first over on my Twitter. So give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_. Cut the fat. Eat the food, Tina. What movie? What movie? Who knows? It's for Giants Now viewers in the live chat right now. Well, are y'all watching and are y'all in the chat? Nice. Eat the food, Tina.
Cut the fat.
You guys are being nice, giving me 91s, 98s, 91s, 95s. Napoleon Dynamite, ding, ding, ding. Jesus Martinez, Brazy, Dave, Brian, and Matthew Valverde all getting, eat the food, Tina. Love that. Love that for you guys. I think I'm not going to bat 100 on that roster projection, but I think it's pretty good.
I think it's going to come down to Zimenez and Timon.
Baldonado.
Baldonado,
yeah. Habakkuk. I don't know how you say his name. I think maybe 4 tight ends might have been too much. But shoot, they were running 3 tight end sets, and they don't have a fullback. So you're theoretically keeping 3 tight ends and a 4th as your fullback. Do the chickens have large talons? Good stuff, Dave. Good stuff, Dave.
That's actually
oh,
holy shit.
That's
Dave.
good stuff. Marsh Master gives me 100. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I feel like the Giants have their 53 though, and there's like there's not a ton of debate.
Yeah. That third tight end, will they keep 5 safeties? And 4 running backs, I think, are the biggest spots that they're looking at right now.
Do you think maybe they keep a 10th offensive lineman?
I hope not. I think 9 is a good number on the offensive line. I think 9 is a good number. on the offensive line. Logan says Chris Myrick is a tight end. Yes, he is. Thank you.
Oh, no, because somebody said, isn't he our fullback?
He ran some fullback last year. And you're going to see Daniel Bellinger play some fullback. So that's that. All righty.
We did have this roll in.
We did have a $2 super chat coming from John Lieberman. Says, Hyatt can stretch the field. Hell yeah, he can.
Hell yeah, he can.
There was one play I put on my Twitter, Seeps, when it was actually the Darren Waller drop, the deep over route that he dropped. They had Jalen Hyatt, so they had Waller on the right side, and they had Hyatt right here, and they just had him run a deep, skinny post. It opened up the middle of the field, though, for Darren Waller. Like, when Hyatt is on the field, the defensive coordinators are literally yelling into the guy with the green dot on their helmet, 84, 84, 84, because as a defensive back, if your first step is up, your next step's going to be to the bench because Hyatt's behind just celebrating in the end zone. He changes the dynamic of an offense. Watch that play on my Twitter. Go check it out at @MarshallGreen_. The DB is lined up right here. He sees Hyatt, and his first 3 steps are back, which opens up a huge spot in the middle of the field for Waller to come underneath. Unfortunately, he couldn't bring it down. He really got lit up. Small criticism, Daniel Jones was late on that throw to Darren Waller. He waited about a second and a half too long. He did one more pat. When you see Waller even, he's leaving, just freaking fire it in there and hit 1-2 on the chest.
That's the one thing. That's like my biggest pet peeve with, and maybe it's just because I watch Kirk Cousins all the time. He's a big pat the football guy.
Before Daniel Jones throws, he pats it every time. And as a DB, that's what you should be watching for. Soren Johnson says, Marsh, do you think Hyatt deserves to be a 3rd-round pick? Yeah, because that's where the Giants got him. But I do believe he had 1st or 2nd-round talent.
I'm still shocked about that.
There was people that were mocking him inside the top 25.
Yeah. I'm like blanking on top receivers in this past year's draft.
Yeah, I think 1st or 2nd. Yeah. I think he had 1st-round talent, man. I'm sure some teams got scared away from the Mickey Mouse offense they ran at Tennessee. But, just because he wasn't asked to do – this is what I've started to tell myself. Just because a player wasn't asked to do something in college doesn't mean they can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, I saw the Giants GM, assistant GM.
Yeah, he said he has more talent than the 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
And he does. I mean – there are not many people on this earth that can do the things he can do. I
would have had him over Quentin Johnson.
We will go back and you will either look and say, Giants got a steal, or Hyatt wasn't that good, and that's what we'll say. That's what we'll say. DJ says when Marshall does push-ups, he doesn't push himself up. He pushes the earth down. I'm giving that one 4 hard hats.
You know what?
That's elite.
Anytime I do a push-up now, I'm just going to be, instead of I'm pushing myself up, I'm pushing it away. Just to switch the mindset.
DJ knows ball.
DJ knows
ball. Alrighty, we're going to sign off on today's video. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in and super chat. You guys are awesome. Remember, we will be live this Saturday, Giants, Jets, preseason finale, and then it's frickin' football time. Until then, enjoy your weeks. We'll have videos on the channel every day. Subscribe, turn your notifications on, and tell a friend to tell a friend.